Welcome everybody again to another great installment of Away from the Keyboards, the show where AI and humans come together to develop great applications. I am your host, Rui, and my guest today is the owner of Semicolon and a co-creator of Rudys.AI. He's also a fractional CEO with a product mindset and has been building a great AI poster generator with an Easter egg for while you wait for the image to come up. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to drop in a thumbs up and to follow up the show. We bring you a new episode every Wednesday, except for the Wednesdays that we don't. Now, without any further ado, Nasir, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Since we first talked, you have been having a kind of an entrepreneurial journey for a long time where you've been building products and building companies. But just to start, what I'm really curious about is what is your origin story? How did it all started for you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm originally from Iran, and I was born in actually a very tiny town in southeast of Iran, and went to school there, and then later moved to Iran and studied computer engineering there as for my bachelor's. And then once I finished that, then I moved to Holland. I was during my high school. That was the time when my dad he brought a computer to our house. This is like talking 1997 or 8. So we were playing with Windows 3.1 and really a lot of Minesweeper. And yeah, so that's what got me into this whole thing. And then then I used to play with MS-DOS, programming a bit in was it BASIC? I had a friend at school, who showed me a card moving from one side of the screen to the other side. I was just completely mesmerized by what this is. That kind of me into the whole journey. And then we moved to Tehran. I studied computer engineering, and then after that I decided to. Well, funny enough, I accidentally decided to go study abroad because I was just walking in the computer side of the faculty and then saw some friends applying for some universities. Like, oh, okay, what are you doing? Oh, we're applying to go to study abroad. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna do that. What forms shall I fill in? So then of course started looking into some universities across the world, actually, mostly in Europe, in the States, in Canada, and then I ended up in studying in TU Delft for my master degree. So that's how actually I ended up in Holland. This was when I was 23, and the rest of that, and I started finished studying, started working for a company, and got married here and have kids. That's the story. I was also playing around building, like doing side projects always. Also when I was there, I was a bit of a always trying to satisfy my curiosity in terms of building stuff. In the early days, also building software, but also electronics, playing around. So it was just I've been going where my curiosity has been taking me.
That's super cool. I can relate with that background of playing around with MS-DOS. I like to say to people that the first line of code that I ever wrote was back in the days of MS-DOS, even before Windows 3.11 or 3.1 or whatever it was. And the MS-DOS used to come in English version. And in Portugal, we have Portuguese keyboards, which don't match because we have one more letter, like the C with a little tilde underneath. So everything gets messed up in the keyboards. So you always had to add a line of text. I think it was to either config.sys or autoexec.bat or something like that, where you would go and every time that MS-DOS would load, you would inject those variables to tell the keyboard is Portuguese, the keyboard is not English. So yeah, that's how I used to first do my first pieces of code, and then it was trying to be lazy and to open up the games. I was creating what nowadays would be called shortcuts. So just a little batch script in the root where you would land when you open up the computer, so that it would open the game that is like, well, 2-3 directories inside, just so that you can save the CD folder, and then name of the game.exe. So yeah,
Funny
it's quite.
enough, at the time I didn't even know English very well. So we would just type in random commands and press enter, and it would write command not found. We would not even understand what it says.
Yeah, that's kind of cool because yeah, for me it was the same. Like I was, yeah, this was between my 6 and 10 years old. Like English was nothing. I knew some of the commands, like I knew CD and DER, so dear, and that was pretty much it. But we are not here to talk about my journey with computers. I want to know about your journey. And one of the curiosities since we first spoke is what led you to start your first company.
Actually, the first one was a bit of an unofficial one. I have a friend who was my high school friend, and he we were when once we both went to university. We were in different, we ended up in different universities, but we were kind of in the same neighborhood, so we would see each other quite often. And yeah, we were just always thinking, okay, what should we do? We were students, we didn't have any money, so wanted to just do something. So it all started. We would just he would just get his car and we would just take passengers from one spot to another spot. It's like in Iran, when you want to get a taxi, usually like they start from, let's say, this part of the town and go to another part of the town, like a bus. The taxi, they just load up four passengers, and then you go from this spot to the other spot, and then you change from there. Like usually how the bus system goes in Hana. We would do that, and then after that we were like, okay, well, let's do something different. So I was kind of good at making some HTML pages, and he was good at hustling. So he started basically collecting a directory of companies in Iran. So basically, with him, we started basically doing some project. This was called Iran Direct, directory of businesses there. We would try to get advertising. Then when I was a student part time, I was also working I was working as a Java developer in a telecom project, and I had a friend there. So the same friend which we did Iran Direct, we decided to also build a was it? He knew somebody who would make industrial some devices where you would put it in a factory and then you could measure like the usage of it. Say, I think do some monitoring on the voltage usage, some industrial controller. We basically build a software for that, and you ask a hardware engineer to build stuff for us. So that was pretty a the starting point of this story. Pretty, they didn't even buy it eventually for us. We spent so much time and went to show them in a meeting. But yeah, basically doing this kind of projects. We had some customers here and there. So it was how the whole thing began, with friends building stuff. This friend of mine in the US now actually runs a company. He's a CTO of a company called Intaker.com. They serve a lot of lawyers in marketing.
Yeah, that sounds cool. And I think that even if they didn't pay you and bought the product for you, at least the lessons that you learn, well, they add value.
Yeah, we were having fun, so that's what mattered actually.
Yeah, I think I heard from someone once that when it comes to a job, you're either learning something or you're making money, or if you're doing both, you're really lucky. If you're doing none, change the job. So as long as one of them is there, it's always good.
Yeah,
Cool.
true.
Yeah, and you have been an entrepreneur for a while. So it, as I can see from your story, it started pretty early. So I'm curious. You started companies, and you worked on building companies from Iran to London to most recently to the Netherlands. How did these countries and yeah, how do these countries differ from one another?
Yeah, a lot. So London actually, so that's what I was a CTO of a company which the tech actually part of it was in the Netherlands. So in that sense, it was mostly on the technology. We were in Amsterdam. Generally speaking, with Iran, it actually is a lot different. I have to say, in Iran, I was more like a hobbyist. I wouldn't say um, these projects, they were fun projects. We were doing project, but at the end I was studying, and then I moved out. But indeed, in 2015, I did go for a short period, and 15 or 16, started a company there with a friend of mine. It was actually the first job board there, and at the time there was a boom in it was a startup boom, and the product was a job board which we managed to start the company and even raise a first round of funding. But I didn't stay too long there. So after 6 months, because of personal reasons, I decided to leave and come back to the Netherlands. I was already dating my wife, so I had to choose if I stay there to build a company or come back. And so I decided to come back. But the company, these friends, they grew it to become the largest job board in Iran. So the main difference that I saw at the time was you have an element of risk. It does not exist here, and there are some uncertainty. The economy is very unstable, and you usually it's not a free market. Let's put it this way. And you need to first of all choose your idea very carefully to make sure you don't hit certain lines. Then also probably you don't want to get too big because that can be also trouble. But other than that, I think at least at the time we did that, it was really the booming time. But the biggest thing I believe this I know is talent because a lot of there are like incredible talents there, but there is a big tendency that everybody would like to actually move abroad to a different country for getting different jobs. And I think I would say in Holland it's a more of a high trust society, and it's I like working with the Dutch people. They are reliable, trustworthy, and I also worked here with my friends who were Iranian. We had a software agency for several years, and customers were the Dutch companies. It was a financial kind of we would serve financial service. So I had always good experiences, and in Holland, I think the regulation. I think everybody is complaining. There's a lot of overhead when you want to deal with things. Administration. When you're a small company, it's always a bit of a challenge. I always actually like smaller, tight companies rather than big companies with too many layers. And yeah, so in that sense, let's say in Holland, it's easy. It's definitely easier to start a company in Iran. Just purely setting up a legal entity is a lot easier compared to say Iran. But at the same time, they have the other challenges like bureaucracy and regulation. Also, for me, as non-Dutch speaking person, was actually that had its own challenges, especially in that industry when we were doing. Yeah, at the moment, then I decided to actually go fully digital. So no borders, no try to build products where you can actually serve. You're not bound to the location where you're serving.
And when you're starting your companies, like what do you look for when you're choosing your partners, like your founders, your C level? What is like your process when you're looking for someone to help out?
I think maybe it's a bit a funny thing. First, I think I would like to be able to have fun, and that kind of tells you a lot about a person. People I work with usually really I had a strong personal relationship with them, and or there were people that we had a click, then we had a good time, and then we decided to start a company. Or they were my very good friends from earlier. So in that sense, maybe fundamentally then it boils down to trust and integrity where when and then you can have fun. So I would like to just really be able to hang out and with people who I work with, not that like okay, well, we're working, then let's just head home and uh, not have anything to do with each other. It's, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the projects, and I take you quite recently in one where I used your AI poster generator, and to be honest, it was for a while it was the most fun I had with AI. Where yeah, I just dropped in the prompt of create a cat poster for LinkedIn, and I couldn't stop laughing afterwards. And I think that kind of exemplifies what you're just talking like Just having fun is such a crucial part of everything.
You mean the snake game, right?
That small little nugget of the snake game was quite fun. It reminds me of the Chrome one.
Thing is, I'm an engineer by trade, so we don't. You're also an engineer, right? We didn't have to do product decisions, at least most of the time, at least up until now that we can actually at low cost build stuff. So usually, like, you have this hierarchy of product designers, product owners, designers, and engineers. So and then now it's possible, like, okay, well, dropping a snake, and why not, because I can just prompt it to just get me. And especially when somebody has to wait for like 30-40 seconds, it's a matter of bouncing off your system right away. It actually, the reason I actually, for example, did that is this whole idea of the perception of waiting. The classic example of it is that if you stand in front of an elevator where there is no number sign in it, it feels a lot longer for the elevator to come there, compared to when you have you see it's like at the 15th floor, and coming down you see the numbers dropping. So that was kind of the idea.
That's a curious one. I didn't thought about it like that. I didn't know about that one of the elevator. That reminds me of, yeah, why the some of the apps now start putting that tracking as well of the person coming to your home that looks like it's near real time. I think Domino's has something similar, uh, but yeah, that doesn't need to be near real time. It could be just giving you the perception of, I don't know, getting an update every 5 minutes and then just drawing out the person is coming to your home, and it makes you feel like the delivery was a bit faster because, oh, okay, he's almost here. That's a cool one.
Meeting your expectations, actually. The other way around actually applies as well. Like, there is a research that when you book a flight on one of those flight scanners, if you get the result right away, if the website is too fast, people perceive it as less trustworthy. So, because if it takes longer, it feels like you did a lot more work to find all these flights that maybe are the cheapest. So they artificially actually build delay into the search. So if you wait,
Oh man, yeah, humans are a crazy bunch. It's so cool how easy it is to trick our brains just with the perception of time.
yeah, I think generally what I learned over the past few years is how much perception matters. Well, when you have an engineering mind, you just bound to like, there is no in between always. It's always like it has to work or it doesn't work, right? And when it comes to, let's say, marketing, when it's come to it's all perception game, and I just, after I've gotten into that a bit more, I'm realizing how much how important it is, and how much, yeah, it's a trick game, it's mind game.
Indeed, and that reminds me of the previous episode that I just had, the one that came out yesterday, and I was talking with Amanda. She's a recruiter, and she was telling that how engineers really like to talk with her because she's very direct and brings it as it is. And I was telling her, yeah, that's because we have Boolean brains. We think in ones and zeros, and it is or is not. And that's exactly what you just mentioned. Which leads me to another question, because we have a recurrent segment on the show that is called Pass It Forward, where a guest gets to pass forward the question to another guest. And the question to you comes from Amanda. And Amanda's question is, if you had the opportunity to have dinner with three people, dead or alive, they just need to be real, who would they be?
So I think one would be DHH, David Heinemeier Hansen, is the creator of Ruby on Rails. I'm not a Ruby guy, but I actually really like the thinking principles and ideas about simplicity. They have a lot of ideas, and I use some of the tooling they publish. Kamal, I deploy all the applications using Kamal because it's just so easy on a private server, no headache of cloud. The other person would be Keith Richards, the guitar player of Rolling Stones, because he's a fun guy and good music. So you're not gonna have bad time with hanging out with this guy. And Tim Urban. Oh, he's the writer of this blog called Wait But Why, and he explains complicated topics in extremely articulate and clear way. And he recently doesn't write on the blog as much, but for many years I've been reading that blog, and I really like it. The writing style is incredibly simple, and just generally very interesting guy. So I think I would definitely enjoy having dinner. Was it or lunch?
That's nice. You have three nice peaks there, and one of them could bring the entertainment.
Exactly. If there is no entertainment, count me out.
Yeah. So continuing with our main topic about building companies and building products, how is it for you now, especially in the current ecosystem with AI and the vibe coding tools and the coding assistants to build new products? We talked a little bit about it with the Snake game, but I'd like to know, because you have several tools out there. You have the AI post generator, which was quite fun to play around with it, but you also have Rudy and Rudy.AI. So how is it to build products in the current ecosystem?
It's I have to say it's a bit of a the best time to really, once if you want to have a product, it's really a great time to build products. I think if you have had the engineering, at least for me, since I had the engineering background, then kind of really had been building kind of side products, then building in the companies, building products, and suddenly you get access to this tooling where you can significantly ramp up that. It's really nice because you at the same time I can build a product and then get the code that it used to take like blood and sweat to build now in a matter of time. I understand like there are many engineers who really love the coding itself. I actually really always enjoy it, but at this age time, just generally, I don't have the time to, and also the patience anymore to just sit to go through that whole process as I used to. So now usually I'm looking for I have an intention, I want a result, and then I want to get to that. So that's this tooling actually makes it possible. What's hasn't got, I would say, necessarily easier is is a product mindset and finding what really kind of sticks or what's actually useful. So the rate of experimentation, I think it has increased. That's really fantastic because then you can decide to, yeah, okay, I don't want this. I'm gonna do it differently. Like it's a matter of like thinking it and then really playing around. Of course, when your source codes they start get bigger, then or you have customers using the tools, then it becomes different. So like your first version, building a new tool, it's actually super easy. You just start throwing at it. I actually have a dictation app, and then just open Cloud Code and start talking, and get feedback, planning, get output, and then you can in I don't know, in a day or two, three maybe, you can get at least something on production. Usually, I really try to push it, really try to get to a production level as soon as possible. But then you want to make sure that you're structuring it in a way where further features you want to build on top, it doesn't become a spaghetti hell. And it does happen. So at the beginning, actually, when I was using this tooling, I was kind of trusting it a bit more. When Cloud 3.5 came out, I was like, oh, this is great. I could just say whatever, and then it will just go fix it. And then, I mean, pretty quick, I realized, no, that's not the case. But then once you take a really step-by-step iterative approach to it, you can build really fast. This is what we did with this AI poster generator. It took us, we actually started building that when Claude 3.5 Sonnet was recently launched. So the backend was actually mostly handwritten. I have an engineer who was working with me. Frontend I actually built it myself purely, and I'm not a React engineer. We were kind of thinking, yeah, we need to really get somebody to fix this problem we're facing. And then Claude 3.5 Sonnet was released. Like, oh, our engineer is really relieved. by Anthropic. Thank you, Anthropic. So then we started, we built it there. And then, of course, the models, they got better. And I partnered with Rude, my friend, and to build Rudys.AI. And that's a lot more complex product. It really has a lot of different mathematical analysis, a lot of AI. It's a really fairly complex. And at the back end, usually all the code we are very well aware of what's going on in the back end. It has a very good scaffolding. It has proper architecture. The front end, at the beginning, we said simple, and then we again know what's going on, but we don't really read much of the code, like at the component level. At an architectural level, we know what's going on, but let's say if we want a component, we don't know. And then what we do usually, like what I use now, purely we use actually Cloud Code to let's say when we want to build some new kind of functionality or feature or something a bit architectural, we build a first version in one session of Cloud Code, and then we try to generalize it into a prompt, and then that could be used to rebuild features like that. Let's say you have let's say you have a feature which has a front end page that has a few backend endpoints, and then you have some database migrations, also some AI kind of features. And each of these has to be constructed separately, but then eventually you end up on a full flow structure where you can either through the same session, if you've managed to finish it under the same context window, you can ask it to now, okay, create me a prompt to describe this workflow on creating this whole flow, or you start a new fresh session and says, hey, look at this feature and look at all these the elements as on the front end perspective, from back end, and from whichever architectural decision, and then generalize it into a, let's say, a slash command on code where it can scaffold a new feature for me. That's kind of helping us to kind of iterate faster.
Oh, that's cool. So basically, you kind of prototype first using several prompts, like iterating with the AI, and then once you have something that works a bit, you ask the AI, write me a prompt that will give me a full-fledged solution in the end.
Or another feature. So you get one version always going. It's a bit of a, how do you say? Was it like make sure the requirements are correct, build it, simplify, optimize, and finally automating. So that kind of the idea behind it is then you have done it once, and that's actually kind of the principles I'm starting to really adopt, in the sense that build something completely manual, refine that process to get to the first version, and then generalize it.
That's cool. And you've been using that with Rudy.AI, and from what I understand, your co-founder also is named Rudy.
Is it root? Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Rudy and what was the inspiration about it. How did you guys come up with the idea and came up with the name?
Funny enough, so Root, he's a PPC specialist. So he runs a marketing agency, digital marketing, and he's quite specialist in running Google Ads, Meta Ads, LinkedIn Ads, and he helps companies. And we actually met each other in the elevator in a working space to a party. We got friends. At the time, I was building this AI poster generator, and he was working with some outsourced team to build Rudy.AI. So it was his product, his idea, and we basically both were in the stage of building the MVP. We had a bet. Yeah, we need to. These are two. It's another bet, but more like encouraging each other. And we need to get to it. We need to build, and even we were saying, okay, whoever gets the first paying customer on that project, we should buy the other one a dinner. And then he will help me with some questions about the marketing. I will help him actually review, check the work that has been done. But of course, the process was quite slow. He had to meeting bugs, fixing, and you know how it goes, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot different than like being a team where you can immediately translate the functionalities to working features. And we also have an engineer. I have also engineer that we actually helped us worked with us to build it. So then eventually, at some point, he finished. He actually launched. We both launched. I got the first paying customer, and then but then yeah, what I liked about his tool eventually was that it was addressing an interesting niche, and the reason actually I also decided to work together was, first of all, he's a fun guy. We really have a great time, and which is the most important. And then also on the marketing side, is you have a higher ticket kind of customers. So I think over the past few years, I've started to think about products from a distribution perspective rather than from a product perspective. So, for example, the AI poster generator, I started this project because I started doing keyword research, and I basically identified this how do you say, a set of keywords that with high traffic, and you have, like, first of all, AI poster generator trending upward kind of keyword, but then I got all these other low difficulty, let's put it this way, keywords are low difficulty, high volume, and so it's not too difficult to rank for them on Google. And then immediately the moment I launched it, dropped a bunch of pages introducing different sites, and then from day 5 organic traffic picked up, which is very nice, because then your distribution is kind of baked in. But the problem was the users are low ticket. So you have the customers are like still B2B, but then like you have $9-15 tickets, which you need a large number of customers. I'm now actually rebuilding it for version 2, because now it's quite simple, so that can be improved. So under Rudys.AI, you're dealing with marketing agencies or companies who wants to who are running Google Ads and doing marketing, and tickets are high. Like, they're spending what, $500 at least, but they easily $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on per month on advertising. So then the customer you're actually addressing, first of all, you're fully focused on B2B. Second, customer you're addressing is higher ticket customers, and generally speaking, higher ticket customers, easier customers, cheaper customers, more complaining, more a bit of a different kind of segment. So that's kind of the thought process behind it.
So moving away from the product itself, but to the distribution, like what you mentioned, is thinking about where this product is going to fit in. Is this going to be a B2C, a B2B? Is it going to be a B2B? Is it going to be like low paying customers, high paying customers, medium paying customers? I never thought about it that way, but that, I guess, it's something that you learn during these years.
Of course, you will learn through pain, and that's the thing. Because I have also, like, in the earlier years, built so many different products. There was always this also kind of mantra, like, if I build it, they will come. No, that they will not come, right? So I have had projects where I have built it and they didn't come, and it's easy to fall into that trap. And so, and in that sense, also, again, from a engineering perspective, it's for me, engineering is easier than marketing. So in this case, you have like a higher ticket. So for engineers, generally speaking, I would say marketing channels like SEO, which is maybe a bit changing now because of all the ChatGPT story. Not significantly, I would say, but that's those are like really great marketing channels to build. And it's crowded, but it's changing to AI, and then also then partnering with people who are experts in that domain in marketing. Like Rude, he's a marketing specialist, and that's actually great. And that's how, like, always building the product. The first thing I would say to think about before product, to see how can the distribution be solved. And if you cannot answer that question, then you shouldn't build that product.
That's cool. You really put in here two really good nuggets, I think, that are great for any new entrepreneur looking into the field and trying to figure out how to what they are going to do, how they are going to kind of succeed. I think if I can summarize it, the first nugget that I got from you is like if you're looking from some inspiration, you're thinking about what you're going to build, looking to search results, see what is the things that are trending, see which one of them will give you maybe some e- easy type of search, right? So what are the keywords that will not require or they are not too much used into the market that you could ramp up in your query if you use it, and also what is trending in that sense. So that can give you the inspiration, but then think also about the ticket. Think about who is going to be your final customer, your distribution. Are you going to be catering to maybe the low paying tickets of maybe €1 per month, maybe €10 per month, maybe €30 per month? Or are you going to move more into the professional services, 500 to 5K or something like that? Cool. But good things comes in threes. So if there is another advice that you can give to a young entrepreneur that is trying to enter the field, what would that be? Something that you learn along your way.
Even for the third one, it's first focus on distribution. I cannot on how do you say? I cannot state that enough. Product doesn't matter, and I mean, it's table stakes, right? You have to be the product has to be good, right? You cannot not solve a problem and think that yeah okay. So I would say you have to build good products, but a good product without distribution is worse than a mediocre product with no distribution.
Yeah, exactly. Because if no one is there to use it, then it doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah, it's like going to a like start the best I don't know ice cream shop in an empty alley, right? Nobody will show up. Oh, just open if you meh, ice cream shop will sell like crazy at a good spot.
That's so true. This was such a good conversation. I think we could have gone forever. But before we call it quits and I let you go, one last thing. If people want to know more about you, if they want to find you, if they want to see the products that you have been building or get some inspiration from it, what is the best way for them to do so?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn with Nasir Shadravan or on X at N4CR or yeah, that's or that's it. You can try out the product, send me a message, send me an email, find it, contact me on X or LinkedIn.
Cool. And I'll make sure I'll add all of those links to the show notes so that if anyone is curious, they can just go drop by there and find all your connections. Nasir, again, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and having this chat with me.
It was great talking to you as well. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for coming, and to everyone still listening, keep feeding your AI coding pilots, and see you again away from the keyboards.